And in this second module, this is part of the SAP ABAP beginners course, the fundamentals, the introduction. So I'm going to be showing you what you should be learning each day, and then I will go into details in some topics, and then and for others, I will just give an introduction to it. So here is what we are going to be covering in the second module. So this is the tools of the ABAP development environment, and we are going to be looking at the ABAP Editor. So what is the ABAP Editor, and what is the screen painter, what is the menu painter, what is the function builder, what is the class builder, what is the debugger, and what is the object navigator. We have used this in previous video, and also the repository information system, and also we can do an hands-on exercise on this. So I will refer always to this module that we have here. The ABAP Editor is what we have first. So when we talk about the ABAP Editor, you use transaction code SE38 or SE80 to access this transaction. And in the ABAP Editor, you can write, you can format, and then you can check your programs easily. So when you create a program, you need to choose the type of the program, which is an executable program, and then there are also buttons for syntax check to make it pretty, and for version management. Alright, so let me show you what the ABAP Editor is, assuming you are new to this video. Of course, we have used this tool already, so I go ahead to open the SAP GUI. So I'm using a different theme. This theme is different from the traditional SAP GUI. Alright, so when in the SAP Easy Access menu, you can access the ABAP Editor by going to SE80, and here you can create a new program. So if you right click on a package like this, go to create, and then you can see program here. You click on create, and let's give the name of the program Z_math demo. Okay, then let me use it one, because I'm going to show you two ways to create the program. So let's continue. And when creating the program, we need to choose the type of the program. So for this kind of programs, this is an executable program. Select here executable program, and then click on save. And we need to choose a package. I already explained this in the previous video. If you don't know what package is, watch the previous video, and then save this. You can also save to local objects, but we don't want to do that. Alright, so we can create a new request. So the request, we can say math demo. So I'm writing a program to demonstrate addition of two numbers. So let's say addition of two numbers program. Okay, then you save this. So now we have the new request have been created. This is the request, and then we save. Okay, so here we go. Our program is created. So here we can write the code, and we can format, and we can check the code. So this is one way. The other way, you can also press Ctrl N to get a new graphical user interface, a new window. So let's use SE38. Remember, we are working with the ABAP Editor, which is used to write, format, and check your programs. Okay, so now we are in the SE38 window. So we'll give the name of the program Z_math demo. Let's just call it 2. This was the first one we created. Remember, when you are creating an object that is outside the SAP namespace, you use either a Z or letter Y. It must start with a Z or letter Y. Okay, so click on create, and the title, we can still call it addition of two numbers math demo program. So choose the type of the program, executable program, and click on save. Yeah, we click on save to the package. Let's create another request, demo 2. Okay, and then you save this. Okay, so then we have our program right now. So let me write the program that we're going to use. So we want just to add two numbers, and the first thing that you need to know about is what we call data declaration. So this is giving what type, it's called typing, what is the data type of the variable that we're going to use. So we're going to be declaring two variables, number 1 and number 2. So to declare a variable, we use the keyword data, and so give the variable name, let's say num1. So you use the keyword type to specify what type it will be. So let's say type integer, which is I. You can check the documentation for the different types that you want to use. We have string, we have integer, and others. We have dates, that's. So then to give a value, a default value, you can use the keyword value and then specify, let's say 5. Use a comma to do chain declaration, or you can put a period, and then you see say data num2 type, give a type, use a keyword type, and then still an integer, and then give value 10. Or another way, yeah, you can, instead of repeating the data twice, you can put a comma here and remove this. Okay, now if to get proper indentations, you use the pretty printer already discussed in previous video, the module 1, and it will format the code. So let's define a third variable, which will be the sum variable to take in the value or the results. So it's also a type of integer, and then you end the declarations with a period. Okay, so now here comes the logic. So sum will be equal to num1, use a plus sign for addition, num2, and then you end every line of code with a period. So to give the output, use the write statement, write column, and this / means a new line. So we can concatenate string and say result. You separate the string, the text with a comma, and then your variable sum. So this will mean it will print out results and the sum of number 1 and number 2. We end it with a period, and you need to do two things. You need to save. Okay, so when we do save, Ctrl S if you are using Windows, and the next thing is to do a syntax check. Okay, if we do a syntax check, you see right here, no syntax error found, and then you need to activate the program. So here, Ctrl F3, or you click on activate. So now we have two programs because of the demo 1 and demo 2 that we created. So we don't need to activate demo 1 because there is nothing in there. So let's activate the demo 2. Alright, so we have activated the code, and then we can run the code. You can use F8 or direct processing. Click on this, and here you see that the result, addition of two numbers, smart demo program. This we specified in the title, and then the result is 6. So this is what the ABAP editor does. You use it to write your programs. So we mentioned version management, right? Version control. So if you want to see the version control, like you can be able to go back to previous code that you created before activating the current one. So you can go to utilities, you click on more, go to utilities right here, and then from utilities you click on versions here, and then you can see version management. Okay, so if you click on version management here, you see that we only have one active version here. So if I go back, and this is currently not in editable mode, this is in display mode. So if I need to make changes, I need to switch back to the change mode. Okay, so let me write something here, right? And here, if you use double quotation, it means a comment, so we don't use double quotation. All right, this is our current code, right? So we want to create a new program. So before we create a new program, let's say we need to save the state, this current state. Okay, and we use version management so that we can go back to this current state in case you make some errors and you want to go back to a working state. So you can go to more, and then click on utilities, click on versions, and then here you can say generate version. Okay, so you see, a temporary version was generated with number 003. So if we click on view details, so remember that the version that we created just now has the number 3 on it. Okay, now let's add another line of code to just change these. So let's just write and say write a new line and say this is the new version, okay, and with the period, and let's do control save. We have saved this, right? And if you save this and if you go to utilities right here and click on versions and you click on version management, this was the state that we saved and this is the current version that we are modifying, right? This one is the one that we just added an input statement, a write statement, and this one was the last working state, the one with 3. These were other versions that I created before now to test the version management system. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make is assuming that you have already activated the code. So we activated our current state. Now it's activated. Let me do it again. Activate. So this is a new version that we have activated, and we say, oh no, we don't want this statement. We want the older version that doesn't have the statement. Let's even run this first. Let's execute it and see what happens. F8. So we say this is the new version. Okay. So now, so we want to get the old version, so we go to utilities again and versions, go to version management, and we need to remember the version number, which was 3. So you can right click on this. This was, you can have a view of it. This is the previous working state that we knew or that we want to go back to. And so when we go back, you can right click, or rather you can go right here and say retrieve. So when you do retrieve, it takes you back to the previous version, or you can display it or view it just as we did, or you can compare. So if I select these two, okay, to select you click and then you hold down control and then click again. So let's say compare these two code. Let's see the difference in the code. So you see right here that the difference between the old version and the current version is this line 16. You can see them side by side. 9 unchanged lines omitted, so it means that 9 lines were unchanged, and this part was the only difference. So you can use single column, parallel, just different settings you can play around, but you get the point now. So when we go back again and said, oh, we want this last state, and then you can say retrieve. So I say the current version of the program is overwritten by an older version. This only applies to source code. A temporary version is created before version will be created. So let's say continue. Now, so this was a temporary version that was created in case you need to go back. So let's go to this modified one and let's activate this so that we can go back to the old state. So activate, and then we have it activated. So if you execute, so we need to execute, and then see we now have the previous version that we wanted. Alright, so let's see what is there now in the version management, version management, and now we have the active state. So a temporary version was created in case you're like, oh no, I don't really need this program, and mistakenly activated the wrong one. So you can always go back to the temporary version that was created, which is this 4. So it has this additional line of code. And yeah, so that is how version management works, and this is how the ABAP editor works. Okay, I hope you understood. So up next we'll be looking at the screen painter.